Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for ICONversations. Today, we have 5 of our amazing icons on the stage here to bring you a hot air balloon freight train of knowledge. Today on the panel, we have from North Carolina, Janina Austin. From South Carolina, we have Rupesh Patel. From Ohio, we have Amy Broghammer. From California, we have Daryl Owen. And all the way from Texas, we have Tammy Pack. Tammy, take it away.
Hello, everyone. It is so great to see y'all. How's everybody doing today? Sounds good. We've got some incredible agents here. We've got Daryl from California, Amy from Ohio, Rupesh from South Carolina, and Janina from North Carolina. And we're just going to be talking over some topics today of really what we're thinking a really relevant conversation. Agents in every market, we're all very interested in our leads, right? Honestly, before we even get into that, because I want everyone to understand who they're listening to a little bit, because I want to hear how you're tracking leads, systems you have for putting them in place, all of that. But I want them to understand a little bit about how amazing you guys are as well. So if y'all don't mind, could we just go through, and Daryl, could I have each of you just say a little bit about your production? Are you solo? Are you a team? Remind everyone where you are, and just a quick little 20, 30-second deal. Daryl?
Sounds good. Good morning, everyone. Yep. If you can hear me okay. I had a brokerage, independent brokerage I founded in 2011. We grew to about 1,000 agents. We actually merged with EXP last year. And I also had a team that I started about 4 years ago. And I've been growing that team. We have about 20 agents. So now the brokerage is with EXP, and I lead a talented team of agents of about 20. We did about $1 billion a year before we merged, and our team does right about $100 million a year currently in California.
Fantastic. Okay. Amy from Ohio, can you introduce yourself?
Hi there. Thanks for having me. I am in Cincinnati, Ohio, the very bottom of the state, and I've been a real estate agent for 20 years. I have previously had a team for about 10 years with a buyer's agent, and that was when my children were small. Now they're 12 and 13, and I went back to being solo 2 years ago. It has been a welcome change for me, and allows me to focus and simplify. I have written a book that's published, and I have several online courses where I teach other agents how to do what I do. So I'm excited to be here today, and I'm proud to be an icon at EXP. I've been here since 2017, I think.
Well, that's just fantastic, Amy. Very interesting. Rupesh, can we hear from you as well?
Absolutely, yes. So I'm Rupesh Patel. I'm in the upstate South Carolina area. I run a small team. Our average sales price is a little bit lower down here, but we do about 30 million a year. And been with the EXP. I think this is my 4th year and 4 years of being an icon agent.
Wonderful. And last but not least, Janina.
Hi, I am an agent in Central North Carolina in the Triad region, focused around Greensboro, North Carolina. I've been an agent for 5 years, 2.5 with EXP. I'm a solo agent, and I sold about 9 million last year. And I guess that's it.
That's fantastic. I love that. Yes, and Amy says that she is doing about 10 million a year in sales, solo. Fantastic. And what's great about this, you see, we've got a little variety. I'm Tammy Pack, and I have a team of about 20 agents. Year to date, we have done $50 million in sales in our town of Fredericksburg, Texas. I looked up last night. We are number 1 in our MLS. That was 88 transactions and 50 million year to date. So we'll see where we end up by the end of the year, but really, really proud of the team and the work that they do. But there's lots of ways to get there. As a solo agent, as a team leader, it doesn't matter. You can win or lose either way, depending on the work ethic that you're putting in. So thinking of agents on my team, solo agents everywhere are always, of course, concerned with leads. How do we get more leads? But I think most of us could attest that Equally as important, if not more important, is what do you do with those leads? And I can tell you, it's tempting, right? To reach out once and you hit the home run, or maybe you reach out a second time. I recently was told that 7 times is about the average of what it takes to get a deal going with someone of reaching out. So the question I want to ask then is, how are each of you tracking those leads, and do you have systems in place for staying in contact with them? We know it's important, but sometimes we do it by the seat of our pants. So who would like to take that one first?
I'm happy to jump in, and I don't know how you know rudimentary my approach is, but we really categorize everyone in our database. We use a CRM called Brivity, and we have news, hot watch, and nurture. And anybody that we're not really sure on what their timeline is, we always keep them in an unqualified status. The objective is just to always qualify the clients on timing. Are you thinking about moving this year? Do you have any realistic related plans this year? If they're within now to like 90 days, we call them a hot. And if they're a hot, we make sure we call them every week. So we know we have to log a call once every 7 days. We make sure we send them any new listings coming on the market in the area they're interested in. Or if they're a homeowner, we want to send them a market report. And we do that every week or 2 weeks. And that's essentially just what's happening in the neighborhood, what homes are selling for in the neighborhood. And our technology allows us to do that. And it has the highest click-through rate. So very simply, if they're a hot, we call them every week and we send them new listings. If they're 6 to 12 months out, we call those nurtures. We make sure we call those every 2 weeks. We want to make sure we build relationships with them. We'll invite them to our client events, which we do 6 a year. And then if they're a kind of a year out or no definite timeline, we call those watches. We call them every month. And it's really that simple for us. Is we want to make sure we're staying in constant contact. They may not be ready for us today. They may not have today business. They may not have a need for us, but we want to be there when they do. And we found that people's lives, things change all the time. I might talk to a client today who has zero interest in moving, zero interest in investing. There's just no real estate related plans. And literally 2 weeks from now, their entire life changes. They're moving out of state because of job relocation, or now they're pregnant, they're having a baby, they got to move, they need a bigger place. So it's just really important to stay in real consistent contact. And what I love about the technology we use, Brivity, is it just keeps us in front of the clients automated with things like listing alerts, market reports, and then we do the real hands-on touches with our client events, which 6 a year for us. And I think that's just the magic sauce of building relationships with people, and that repeat referral business is when we call them every month, we invite them to something of value. We want to bring value to them. So we're not asking for business, we're not asking for referrals. I'm just saying, hey, we're doing this amazing holiday event. For example, Christmas, we have Santa Claus. We're going to do really professional photography, bring the family. We're going to do a Build-A-Bear contest. We just want to do things like that throughout the year that's really fun, that they get a lot of value from, that we can just invite them to.
I love that. And there are so many great tips there really to unpack. But, one of the main things I love that you said is, it's so true. How many of us have talked to someone and they're not thinking of selling right now or buying? And we think, well, I'll reach back in a year. And then we see their house sell in between. How many of us have bought or sold homes that we had no idea that was going to happen 3 months out, right? Life changes, opinions change, or we just see a shiny object and we've just got to have that house. So staying in front of them with the client events, we do a lot of that as well. I think that's fantastic. Do any of you have something you would like to add to that? Something you do that's working well to track your leads?
I'd be happy to share my
Great.
perspective.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
I've been in this business for 20 years, and so that gives me a lot of benefit of knowing a lot of people and having a lot of repeat clients. And that is only people that I work with are repeat and referral clients. And I find that when those types of people reach out to you, it is very warm. I never have to call them 7 times. We engage right away and move forward. I am very basic. I used to have a CRM and then I didn't use it. So my CRM is my cell phone. My contact list is organized with emojis in front of the people's names. And that tells me how they are categorized as clients and or how I know them or where they live. And based on those emojis, I can sort my contact list. And invite to. I have 2 client events a year. I also check in to make sure that everybody is registered to vote and knows where they're voting and has signs that they want. So I do that as well, and just give valuable connection and updates to people throughout the year. And then, I don't know, like I need to sell about 25 houses a year in order to do my annual goal. And I don't need a whole lot of leads in order to do that because I sell almost everyone that reaches out to me. So, I have a spreadsheet. I have operated my business on Google Docs for years. So I have a spreadsheet, and one of the tabs is buyers, and I put their information in and I tag them as to, if they're A, B, or C. And then I have a listing sheet, and it's super simple and very easy to stay in touch with. And I just believe in going small to keep everything simple. And I feel lucky that I can do that now that I don't have a buyer's agent that I'm overseeing and managing. It's just me, and I know that I'm doing my conversions and that kind of thing. So, it's easy to keep up with and follow up. And 25 a year isn't hard to do. I have had years where I was pulling in leads from other areas, and it was a lot to follow up, a lot to track. There was a lot of extra software to have, and a lot of people have to do their part. And I just decided that I would rather keep it simple and just rely on me and make sure that, the business was getting closed. And so it's just very direct, authentic relationships with people. And then they refer friends, family, neighbors, everyone. And so that's just kind of how I manage my business. Thanks for asking.
Amy, I think that's fantastic. And I love that you say that, because I look in our market sometimes and I'll see, a solo agent, and I think, how do they do so much? They market zero, they keep it very simple, and it's that relationship thing, and it works for them, and they're toward the top of the MLS ranking. So it just shows there's more than one way to do this. You did catch my ear though about the emojis. Talk just a little bit more about that. Give some more detailed examples of things that you might assign to your contacts with emojis, and how you use that to segregate when it's time to do some either a little bit.
Yeah. Everybody loves my emoji idea, and usually I show it on the screen when I'm on a class. But I have three levels of clients. I have a past client, which I have a rainbow image. I have an A client, which I believe you can really only have deep relationships with about 30 people. So they have hearts next to their names. And then I have B clients who maybe have bought in the last year, and or could, they're engaging with me when I send a text message, they're coming to the events, all of that. I recently started playing pickleball, and I met 8 ladies today. So they have pickles in front of their names. And I'm very active with our community. I'm a park board commissioner, and I'm very active in the political arena. So I tag everyone in Anderson Township, which is where I live, with a red A. So if I need to make sure that they're, getting out to vote for something or other, I can just sort by A's, and then I can send a slew of texts. I can text probably 70 people in like 5 minutes just by copying and pasting and getting the word out there, or sending an image. So it's a really efficient way. I also invite to all of my events via text because it's a one-on-one thing, and it's easier for people to respond and engage on text message, I have found, at least in my demographic.
Do you put the emoji like at the beginning of the name, and is that how you're
Yes.
sorting?
I do. And just to be clear, I have an Android, so I'm not an iPhone person. I think iPhone does it a little differently, but you can still organize your contacts by that. I also have like houses next to all the realtors. And sometimes, like if I have an off-market property, I pull up the little house and I say, hey, which agent, wants to have a heads up on this listing, or, something like that. I also have agents that have investor buyers that pay cash. and I sell a lot of like estate and like flip properties. And so I have just a list of like 5 or 6 agents that I give those opportunities to. So it really makes it easy for me to reach out. But I will say that in the beginning, what I find is people want to have like 30 different emojis for different things. And I would just say, keep it simple. Start with like 1 or 2 that make the most impact for you. And then as you start this system, you can, add some additional like buckets, if you will. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I think that's fantastic. Let's hear from Rupesh. Rupesh, the market is always changing, right? And we're all in different places, different areas, but how have you been able to navigate the changes in the market, this last year? You're obviously an icon, so it's not that it's an easy market for any of us, but you're clearly making it. So what would you attribute your continuing success to, even in a challenging market?
Well, I mean, I think, in any market that we're in, I'm a big believer in spending at least 2 hours a day for lead generation, business development. So I know when the market's really hot and things are moving quickly and things are a little bit easier, the first thing people tend to do is take their eye off the ball with those activities. And this year what I've really been focused in on is making sure that those activities are done. Like when I first started out, almost 15 years ago, I started prospecting 3 hours a day, and as you build up a business and build up a name, it does get a little bit easier, but it tends to kind of make you a little bit lazier. And I think when you're in a tough market, I think what tends to happen is, those things aren't so easy. So we've got to go back to the things that we know that works, and those things are, lead generation, and back to what you were talking about, lead management. So, I've spent money on leads. I have a database. And my system is to be speaking to new people every single day to put them into a funnel, into a process, right? So when I speak to somebody, finally, they're either going to be somebody who is ready to buy right now, so that what I would call a hot buyer or a hot seller, and they would be tagged hot in my CRM that I use. And there would be also a tag going along with it, whether it's a seller A or a buyer A, and and then there may be a B buyer or a B seller or a C seller or a B or a C seller, and that's going to be something a little bit long term. So what I'm doing every single day is looking for new people to put into the funnel, into the CRM, tagging them, and then communicating them to them based on where they are at what stage, and just making sure I'm staying top of mind with good, valuable information. So when I do that every single day, 90 days later, I'm starting to see the results of the stuff that I did to put those people in that pipeline. So, for me, it's just going back to the basics, understanding that, when you do speak to somebody, there is obviously a need. We just got to find the time frame of when they're looking to transact, and making sure that we stay on top of them.
No, that's fantastic. I've got a couple agents on my team that are heavily invested in, they send out a lot of packets. They make up these really nice packets. They mail them out to expireds withdrawn certain type categories of properties, and they put a lot of effort. They make them really nice. And they're so nice that people keep them. So what they're finding is now they've been doing this a while, and they're getting calls 6, 8, 9 months later because the packet was too nice to throw away. Someone put it in the drawer. So it's important, I guess, for all of us to remember that you're right. Whatever prospecting you're doing doesn't mean it gets, an immediate return. We have to be a little bit patient, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's more than one way of lead generation. A lot of people, they talk about, well, I don't want to cold call anybody. Well, these are people who have actually visited my website, either called one of my signs. So it's not really a cold call. And I think that a lot of people have that stigma about prospecting and lead generation. I mean, even if you had 2,000 people that in the area, I mean, you still have to physically phone them, give them a phone call. You still have to have a conversation. So it's the same thing, really. So whether you call the people that know you, whether you call the people that are in your database, or if you are, going on Facebook and adding people to a list and commenting on their feed, prospecting that way. So or sending packs. I like that idea, and it's something I'm really considering doing. So I'd probably have to pinch some ideas from you. But we have to be taking swings at different pillars, and we have to understand what works in our business, and then do more of what works instead of trying one method for 1 week and then saying that it doesn't work. We have to measure it for at least, I would say, 90 days to 6 months to see what the ROI is on what you're doing before you decide to move on to another pillar. So it's not only getting more oil wells drilled in your business, as they call it. It's about tracking and knowing what kind of return you're getting and staying in it for an amount of time so that you can get a result.
Very true. I feel like sometimes we don't even completely drill an oil well, right? Sometimes we just kick the dirt and poke at it with a stick and think, this isn't working. This is not working. So we do have to have a little bit of patience for sure. Janina, what would you attribute your success despite the more difficult market we're in?
So it doesn't feel that different to me. I'm sure that doesn't sound very reassuring for folks who are having a struggle, but I really focus on keeping in close contact with my sphere, and I haven't changed what I'm doing, and my business hasn't changed for the worse. I eat breakfast or lunch with a friend 2 or 3 times a week. I have some friends who don't like to talk on the phone. Some people say that we have to call folks on the phone, and I'm sure that is it definitely is a great way to connect with people. But I have some friends who will not answer the phone no matter how much they love me. One of them is my sister. We have a great relationship. She will not talk on the phone. So we text, and I really like the change in the market, honestly, because now it gives more opportunity to folks who were locked out, people who were using a VA or an FHA loan, people who are using down payment assistance. And I like the move towards a more balanced market, even though it's not entirely balanced yet. I feel I have been waiting for 5 years for the other shoe to drop. I have been waiting for struggle to hit me, and I guess what I'm doing is just working. My business has continued to multiply each year, and I guess finally now, after 5 years, I'm starting to believe that just working your butt off, being honest, and being the one that everybody knows will work the hardest for them and really take this responsibility seriously is kind of just, I guess, all I need to do. Just do a really good job. Ask your clients for reviews. Ask them to post them all over the internet. Give them the links to make it easy, and stay in touch with them. And the people just come. So that's what I'm doing.
It's like a lot of things in real estate, isn't it? Where a lot of times agents, understandably want a magic pill to fix things in their business. And it's like, the truth is, sometimes you need a new idea or you need a little encouragement. But for the most part, we know what to do. We've just got to sit down and do it, right? I'm talking to myself there as much as anybody. I am curious, are any of you using AI in your business? We know that that's a coming thing and is getting bigger all the time. And I'm curious if any of you have any AI examples that you might want to share.
Tammy, I'll jump in there if you want. So yeah, back to just on the what the last speaker was talking about. It's as basic as just showing up every single day and working like it's your job to be a real estate agent. And if you do that simple thing, more opportunities will come to you than you ever expected. A lot of agents, they come into the office for 30 minutes or an hour, and they'll go home and do whatever they got to do. Who knows what they've got to do? But when I got into the business a long time ago, I just decided that I was going to show up at the office, stay at the office, just like as if it was a 9-to-5 job. And if any agents are looking or thinking about that, just start working every single day like it's your job. So, but back to your question about AI. So I'm a big believer in AI. There's two types of AI. There's the texting version, and there's now this voice version, which apparently can emulate your voice. So what I'm personally doing is I'm staying away from the voice one because obviously I have a bit of a unique voice, and I don't want to mess that up. So I'm going with more of a texting system. So when a new lead comes in, we'll be, using a plan and a campaign that's in there. So one of the things I'm actually doing right now is I'm actually moving my CRM from what I was using at Boomtown to Lofty, which is obviously what we're partnered with at EXP, and they have a great AI in there, and that's the reason I've moved my CRM to that place. And I think if you're not using AI, I think when a lead is coming into your system, you're not making the required amount of contacts or attempts to get a conversation started, just like you said in the beginning about I think you said 7 contacts or 7 attempts or 7 conversations, but it has to be a certain amount of attempts because not everybody's going to pick up the phone on the first time or respond to a text the first time. So you've got to have something in the background that's touching these people, that was bringing somebody in from a cold person to a warm person that wants to have a conversation with you now.
No, very, very well said. That's great. Who else has something on AI to share?
I've been using ChatGPT for a while, and I've also taken several classes lately to see how other agents are using AI. And uh, I have mixed feelings about using it for video or voiceovers, things like that. But it has been amazing for me. I'm a person that is not a confident writer, if you will. And so, because of that, a lot of times I wasn't making posts on LinkedIn or Facebook because I just scrutinized my message too much and that kind of thing. And so I just pulled up my ChatGPT account, and the last couple of things that I've done in there is I've used it to create a sympathy message for a client that lost a parent, and I just feel awkward about that. So it helped me greatly on that. It helped me understand some tax levy funding. I wrote an age in place worksheet with it because I do work with seniors. It helps me to write my clients write like a love letter when I list a house, and I put in what they say. And then I add in like the improvements and the upgrades of the house. And then I ask it to write me a description, which I hate writing. And it writes me great descriptions. It writes great emails when I'm a high D personality and I don't really have a lot of fluffiness in my writing. So I just ask it to write like a friendly, welcoming email. I've nominated multiple friends and clients for different awards. And normally I would never do that because of the extreme overwhelming effort that it would take me to write that stuff. And they can do it in a heartbeat. It's wonderful. And the last 3 people that I nominated for awards got them. And then I was the reason for that. And now they feel like they love me and they've referred people to me. So it's not the typical way that maybe most real estate agents are using AI or ChatGPT, but that's the way I've been using it. And it's been a huge time saver.
Those are some really great tips of ways to use it because, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm fairly confident with writing. It's one of the things I've done. I've also written a book. But the truth is, how many of us can relate to, I feel like my listing descriptions start to sound alike. I can only find so many ways to say something. So I like to put whatever I've got as a starting point in there and then just throw it in and see what things they change up. Now, I'm never going to go completely with the way that a GPT bot puts it out. And I'm still going to delete and take away, add to. But you know what? They might have just a different 1 or 2 twist of a phrase that makes it not sound like every other listing description I've done. So it's still a very helpful thing. Is anyone else using something in AI they would want to share?
I'll give you a little tidbit. So I do use AI as well for property descriptions. So just like you were mentioning earlier, so I would take what the bullet points are of the home, and then I would ask it to make a property description with the address. And then if it sounds too way out there, you can use little prompts. Like you could say, well, humanize this a little bit more for me, and then it will change it so it's a bit more of a dumber down kind of version of what what it's trying to say. So definitely pay attention to what you're asking it. I mean, you can pretty much ask it anything you want, and you can change it however you want. And it's very easy to use. So I use it for property descriptions as well.
I'm curious, for all of you guys who are performing at such a high level, do any of you invest in outside coaching or education or workshops to keep you at that high level? Does anyone have something they can share on coaching systems?
I'll just jump in. I do believe in the idea of coaching. I coach a lot of my agents. I mentor a lot of people. I need that in my life too. Sometimes it's not what we already know to be true, but it's hearing it again, maybe even from somebody else or somebody different, just to remind us of the things that we already know that we may forget or that we're just maybe no longer taking serious. And I know for me, with my business coach, I have a life coach and a business coach. My life coach is kind of like my life and spiritual coach. And then my business coach is really more about business, from being a CEO to scaling companies to growing the team, real estate related. And it always is my experience weekly, just a healthy dose of either, challenging my mindset, giving me some added accountability, or just reminding me of the things that I already know to be true that I'm no longer doing, or that I may have kind of forgot about.
Yeah, very, very well said. When my husband and I first got into real estate in 2015, decided to build a team, one of the first things we did before we had a closing is we did the research, and for us, we chose Tom Ferry Coaching. That worked out well for us. And what I'd noticed in my research was that the best agents out there had a coach, and typically their coach had a coach, and their coach had a coach, and it went all the way up, right? Because we're always constantly growing and evolving. So it was really important to align ourselves with, it was people that were doing more than we were, people that had already gotten where we wanted to go. So for us, that has been extremely helpful in more ways than I can say. So does anyone else use any kind of coaching?
Tammy, when I first started in real estate as an agent, I started out with, I think it was a Brian Buffini program. Then I went to I think what new agents have a stigma of in the beginning is obviously it's an investment. So I understand when you're not making a lot of money, there's no money really for you to be putting out there. But when I took a leap of faith, entered a coaching program, I was able to see the results, to build a business. And I think that at every stage of your business, you're going to need a different type of coach. And just like Daryl said, depending on your situation and where you're at and what you need, you may need multiple coaches. And I definitely think the value that is there, with coaches, because that's what they say. If you want to go far, it's better to kind of get that knowledge with a coach who's already been there, and then kind of like jumpstart where you want to go, because they've already gone through all the aches and pains and can kind of guide you, to a faster result.
Well, this is kind of a tie-in, an add-on there, but mentorship, as you kind of been hitting on, is really critical, in developing our real estate business, period. Do any of you like mentor other agents, either in your organization at EXP or with your team? I mean, I know y'all were talking about that a little bit, but does anyone want to expand a little bit on their mentorship abilities?
I can talk to that a little bit. I enjoy engaging with the agents that are in my downline, and anyone really that I also wrote a book and a bunch of online courses, and I find that I like waiting for somebody to come to me and ask questions and engage with me. And when they do that, I get really interested in helping them because I see that they have a passion for it. And I think, it teaches me more when I help others to fine tune my own business, and it allows me to appreciate a little bit what I've already learned and discovered and put into practice or into a system or a standard that I might have, and be able to share and give them the ability to say no, or tell them that, not every client is a client that you need, and be able to empower them a little bit is really rewarding. I think for me, one of the most surprising, unexpected benefits of EXP is that mentoring that I've experienced here more than anywhere else that I've been, and I love it. And also, I just like to add that, you know, mentorship with a human is awesome. When you find that right person that has been where you want to be, I think that's really important. But also, now that we have a million podcasts and videos and, you know, books and ways to learn, like, you can still have mentorship from people that you never meet in person, and you can gain a lot from them when you vary the ways that you're receiving